What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous back again with another installment of 1430. Not live again. Yeah, we said we'd do a little different this time around. But today with me, I got my homeboy, somebody that I've just recently met, but I've seen him perform live. He's super talented, and I can't wait to see what he got coming February 29th at the Poorhouse. It's the homie Malibu P, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Feeling good. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy that we're gonna be killing it at a poorhouse. I've only been able to perform there a couple times, but it's one of the better venues in Raleigh for sure, and I think we're gonna do a killer job.
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be my first time. Well, it's been like my first time in like 10 years performing at the
Whoa.
poorhouse. Yeah, uh, like the last time I was there, it was for an event where me and a couple other guys were like opening for Sci the Prince. Like when he was,
Saha?
yeah, like he was at the poorhouse like 2013.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
sick.
was. Yeah, like me and a couple other guys just won like some kind of contest, and we were able to open up for him. And it's one of those things where it's like I look back on that performance and I'm let's just say I'm a lot better now, and I wish I was
Sure.
a
Well,
lot
10
better
years.
then. Yeah, like it's just your old work. You look back and you're like, dang man, I wish I was on my A game back then. But it's all good. It's all good.
I think it would be more depressing to look back 10 years and be like, man, I wish I could still do that. Or like,
Yeah.
man, I was better back then. So you're moving in the right direction.
Yo, appreciate it, man. So tell me, because I was checking out some of your stuff. I saw you had like a couple songs on streaming that I was able to rock
Yeah,
with. Like, oh man, it's the one can't
can't
get
get
you.
you back.
Yeah, can't get you back. I love that track, man. I told you that
I
when we
appreciate
first
it,
met.
man.
I was like, I heard you perform that one, and like all of your stuff was dope, but that was the one that really stuck out, and like I really love that
Word,
one. So yo, you have a
word.
really like diverse sound. So what would you say like if you could kind of like sum up your style? Like what would you call it?
Um, hmm, man, I'm just a musician, I guess. I've got I've got rap, I've got pop, we've got some R&B, I've got hip hop, go country, play rhythm
Mm,
guitar, you know what I mean? So it's really tough to put it in a box. Um, I feel like pop is a really fair assessment just because I think of all of the genres that I participate in, the subgenre is like blank pop, like
yeah,
jazz pop, hip hop, but pop. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like there's a sort of um, ease of entry that I think uh, people can quickly get into with any of my songs, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
the genre is, because that's kind of who I am as a person. So yeah, I guess that's how I would describe it.
Okay, dope. Yeah, man. I like that it like throughout your performance because it was school kids. I
That's right.
believe at I think it was either the no, it wasn't an October show. It was back in
The one,
July.
yeah, one
Yeah.
before that. Yeah,
And one of the things I was like, because each time I think each song you performed, it was just like you were in a different lane, like a different direction. Which
yeah,
I've always like, I preach this all the time. I love somebody to take chances. I love somebody that like doesn't really give me the same thing twice. Like that's what I try to like do with my music. Is that like it's still me, but it's like
right.
I'm definitely like more into like experiment with new sounds and like going in new
Hmm.
directions if I could take it there. So like
It's
oh
Oh, my bad. Go
no,
ahead.
no,
What
go
was the
ahead, go ahead.
question? Well, I mean, in terms of just like new lanes, I feel like um, I am writing and it's a different time during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a different mood or a new thing has happened to me.
Yeah.
Um, and so that lends itself to sounding different. But then on top of that, I'm also interested in so many different types of music.
Hmm.
So sometimes it's a bit unfair, in my mind, to just stay in one sort of lane because, like, even in the car ride over here, I'm going new Kanye album,
Hmm.
Solange, McCartney. So
Yeah.
it's like everywhere, and so I do my best to do things that I like
Hmm.
and think about other people later. I'm selfish that way, so it ends up being based on the things that I like, which is
Yeah.
kind of eclectic.
Yo, and that's dope because it's authentically you, which is
Mm.
like the one like tying element to everything is
Yeah.
like me and Eddie on our episode last week we were talking about how like regardless because there's a lot of people that try to follow sounds and trends and stuff you know but like I feel like people really gravitate to you. They might have fun with you if they like what they hear the first time around, but it's nothing to really stick with if it's not like authentically who the artist is that's creating that music. And on the artist's side, you don't want to be that guy that makes music and the song that you pop off on is the one that you hate the most, and it's the one where like it's the style that everybody recognizes you for, and it's like, nah, that's not who I wanted to be, but that's who everybody expects me to be now.
The classic artist dilemma.
Yeah.
Um, and it's interesting to me, and I say this, and I've said this to Eddie. You know, great artists steal, and I really feel
Oh, I've heard that
like,
before.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to copy something, but
Hmm.
I will steal it if I like it.
Yeah.
And I feel the difference is, um, take a song like "Can't Get You Back." I actually was listening to darn, what song was it? It's a Michael Jackson song of Dangerous. And
Mm.
man, if I can't get you apart. Oh, and it goes on and on and on,
Oh yeah.
right? There's that
Okay.
part in that.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I'm sitting listening to Dangerous, and I think it's Stranger in Moscow, where
Yeah.
there's a line where he's like, and on and on and on. And I heard that and I was like, oh, that's where I stole that from.
Yeah.
Like, if something really affects me, I'm like, I'm taking that, and it's gonna show up,
Hmm.
and because I'm doing it in my own way, it doesn't sound like Stranger in Moscow, right? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing about Can't Get You Back that sounds like Stranger in Moscow, but I
Hmm.
stole that on and on and on, and it shows up in my own song. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I get I I I tell people, like, if you like something, don't try to do it exactly the way it
Yeah.
sounds. Just say like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Let's take it, right? But we'll take it in our own context. Let's not try to recreate it. Like, let's
Yeah.
not copy it, but let's take it and put it on our own design.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's crazy you said that because "Stranger in Moscow" is one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. So it's
uh,
like that. As soon as you
KGB
said that, I was like,
YOUB.
"Oh, that's the one." That's why I like that
Yeah,
song so much.
yeah. I mean, it literally. This is a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, go listen to Dangerous. All right, I'll go listen to it. And I heard that, and I was like, oh yeah, oh my goodness. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds so familiar. Um, like, yo, Mike, I did that. He did it first, but he probably got it from someone else.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, like I listened to some old like Beatles records, right?
Yeah.
You go listen to a Beatles record and you'll hear Little Richard,
Yeah.
like the things that Little Richard did in his songs. You hear them
And they were
doing it.
very open about that too, which
Yeah,
I
which I
appreciated
appreciate.
that. Yeah.
100%. So great artists still, man. Great
Yeah.
artists still.
I mean, because it's a weird, especially being like into deep into the hip hop world, like because you hear homages all the time, like when people use a line or two from like a favorite song from back in the day, or
Yeah.
like they sample their favorite records from back in the day. But at the same time, like there's always been this whole culture around biting and like stealing,
Mm,
like taking somebody's flow, their thing, or whatever. So like, how do you find the balance between that? 'Cause sometimes I know some artists where they'll block out other music like during the time that
yeah.
they create, just to make sure that they're not too influenced by somebody else. I personally love listening to, like, I have an idea for a song, right, and I will uh pick out a song that closely kind of mirrors like the just the concept of what I'm trying to do, and trying to gain some inspiration as far as like how to write the lyrics, like, or how to
Hmm.
structure the lyrics, how my performance of the song, so I can make sure I convey the right emotion and stuff like that. So how do you balance that, like, as far as trying not to be too influenced, but like you know being able to knowing what to steal and how to steal it? What, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I mean, the uh the thing that comes to my mind is, you know, I was really blessed when I was younger to hang out with older people. And
Mm,
so, when I'm 8 and 9, I'm buying College Dropout and I'm buying the Black Album and
yeah.
I'm buying those records while I'm in fourth grade, right? And I can remember people at the time, especially towards Jay Z,
Hmm.
older people looking at Jay Z as kind of like encroaching on these established artists like the Bigs and the Pox and things like that,
Hmm.
right? Like 04, 05, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea how old you are, um, but you remember when he had what more can I say?
Yeah.
And he's like, if I'm not about it, I'm a writer for myself and others. I say a big verse, I'm only bigging up
Picking
my
up my
brother.
brother.
I'm big enough to do it. I'm that thorough. Plus, I know my own flow is foolish. So them ranks and things you sing about, bring them out. And I remember hearing that as a kid and thinking, wow, like I hear the chatter of people around me talking
Hmm.
about Jay.
Yeah.
And then he addresses it in his own song.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, T.I. is coming out and sampling it,
Hmm.
and it's a hit. And I feel like in my mind, it unlocked something for me. I was like, it really just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Really, at the end of the day, it don't matter.
it just doesn't matter at all. And you know, when I look at products like a computer or a phone,
Hmm.
you got to use code. We were just talking about software before we got on this. You
Yeah.
got to use certain code to build like staple portions of a platform.
Hmm.
So you'd be remiss to try to like build the whole thing from scratch every single time,
Yeah.
you know? So for me, when it comes to music, and like this is just how my brain is just all over the place, but I, I'm never gonna not be listening to music
Hmm.
and attempting to isolate myself because I just enjoy music.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd be in a good place if I wasn't listening to it. And I also think that just based on the context of my life and the things that I enjoy and the things that I've experienced,
Hmm.
we could have the exact same inputs. We could have listened to the same songs for the last 4 weeks, and I'm going to create something different than you
Hmm.
just because I like what I like and I'm making stuff for me first
Yeah.
instead of thinking, oh, well, are people going to dig this? Right.
Hmm.
So, I don't try to guard myself too much, if at all.
Hmm.
I just really trust me being selfish about what it is that I'm making.
Yeah.
So if I heard some lines today that I think are amazing, then I'll take them and I'll take them, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'll take them and it'll be a part of something that no one else would have thought of because no one else is me
Hmm.
and no one likes exactly what I like, you know?
Hmm.
So I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah, I used to be a lot in my head a lot. Like you said, being around older people, like I got all of my hip hop knowledge and like music knowledge from my mom and my dad and like my older.
Mm,
And I was the oldest, and I was like the next cousin up was like 10 years
yeah.
older than me.
Okay.
So I had like those are the people I'm hanging around with. So I'm getting a lot of the old school, mentality thrown at me. So it's like taking. Cause I was one of those people that felt that way, but that was because my dad would say stuff like that about Jay, about him doing those, and then he'll address. Then Jay addresses it in that song, and then my dad was like, "Damn, he got me." like it felt like a personal.
That's
It felt like
around, yeah.
he got me, and then he break it down like that. It's like you know what? I understand where he coming from, and I get it, and I like that he addresses things like that. Like I feel
Mhm.
like at the end of the day, we're all inspired by somebody, and we're all
Yeah.
like there's nobody, and there's nothing new under the sun. Like at this point, like
No,
you could try. You think that what
no,
you're doing is like the first time ever, and I promise you, you could find somebody 30, 40 years before
they
you
did it.
that did the exact same thing. Like the only
Yeah.
person who could say that they were original was the person who created music in the first place,
Right.
like eons ago. So it's like,
Yeah.
and
There's.
like, so when it comes to, because I listened to a couple of the tracks you had, right? But I
Yeah.
saw you didn't you only had like two releases out.
Yeah.
So like, are you more? Because it's something I'm trying to get better about personally, where I'm very closed off until everything is done. Well, like I'm listening to music, I'm like writing my stuff, but until it's finished, like even my wife don't really hear my unfinished tracks and stuff like that until it's done because
Mhm.
it's just it's I don't want to make sure people get it. And like if I record and it's like bits and pieces here and there because I'm trying to form the idea, like I don't want somebody to hear that part. So like, are
Yeah.
you more like, all right, I need to finish these records, or is it like, because I know you got more because you did a whole set at the show, so
Yeah. I
like
did like 35, 40 minutes. Yeah. It was long as hell.
so
Um,
like, are you like just waiting for the right time, or is it just more of like, I need to fine tune these before I show them to the world, or does that matter to
well,
you at all?
well, I think one of the cool things about hanging out with somebody like Eddie, who's becoming one of my good friends,
Mm-hmm.
um, is watching. Like, there's a process to making music, and then there's a process of delivering music,
Mm.
and I feel that the process of delivering music has been a bit foreign to me because I'm so connected to it. You
Yeah.
know, and there's that there's that moment where it's not yours anymore. You give it out,
Yeah. When you give
and
it to the
now,
world.
yeah, you give it to the world, and you know, you could be judged by, well, how many views did it get, and how many likes does it get, and you know, all of these things. Where before you release it, you love it so much,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden it's out there, and there are these metrics that somehow value or devalue the asset, the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so being around somebody like Eddie, where I watch him, he's like, well, he's gonna make it. He's gonna decide that's gonna come out, and he's gonna stick with that. Like,
Yeah.
it's happening no matter what. And so I'm at the point now where there was a moment where I was thinking there's going to be a perfect time or a perfect mechanism to get the music out,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been kind of thinking to myself, I might just release the 50 or 60 tracks
Wait,
and just put them all out.
you got like
Oh,
50 to 60 tracks just waiting
brother,
like that?
I I could do. So we had the show at the cave,
Yeah.
uh, our birthday thing. If you saw any of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
social media posts, whose birthday is it? And I think I did close to 40, 45 minutes. I skipped songs.
Damn.
Yeah. So, you know, I remember after that I was like, wow, people are asking me where's the music, can I listen to it? Can I listen to it? I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
go listen to Wes Morgan and Can't Get You Back. I'm like, no, but what about this? What about that? And I was just thinking to myself, like, man, I'm really just worried about, once I give the baby away,
Yeah.
is it gonna get taken care of? And it's something I really just need to get over, you
Yeah.
know. But that's a part of being an artist.
Hmm.
That's a part of being an artist. It's something I'm working on for sure.
Like what Erica Badu say? She said I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. And
Yeah.
like cause I've been in the same position, when it comes to that, where it's like, these songs are like the best possible thing that I've crafted at this point in time, and I
Right.
don't want to put it out and it gets ignored and it doesn't get the attention that I
Yeah.
feel like it deserves. But and my wife, that's one of the things about, like after I met my wife, is like she just puts it out there because it's really just more about um, it's really more about getting it to the right people instead of getting it to everybody. Even if it's only
100%.
five people that like rock with the song, like those five people connected with what I created on my own, and they feel just as strongly about it listening to it as a fan that I did creating it, or close
That's
to it.
true.
And it's like I'd rather be that to five different people than just chasing 30,000 for 50,000 people or whatever.
Right. It's
Cause
a good attitude to have. It is, man. It is. It's just, I'm like,
I feel you.
uh, but the good thing is like doing these shows. So my goal is to do a show every month at least. And so far, we'll be rocking on the 29th. We did something in January. We did something December, November. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, what I'm noticing is the people who are showing up um, are singing along.
Mm-hmm.
They're enjoying it, and so that's given me a little more confidence to think like it's not going to
That's a great
like
feeling.
yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna be some people who at least appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, part of this is even if no one was listening, I would be making music
Mm-hmm.
because I have.
Yeah.
you know, like that is my respite away from everything else is and I've done it my whole life. And so I'm just kind of, having to transition the thing that you just love to do to something that could, maybe pay your bills or other things. There are
Yeah.
some things you have to let go of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time. It used to frustrate me because I was still in that mindset that you were in. So like when I would hear people say that, I'd be like, nah, fuck that. But it's true. It's like you really don't. It's like we have this idea of like the music that we have in our head, like as we're listening to it and we're crafting it, but you really don't know how it affects people until it's out in the world. And like, because
Yeah.
I feel like when I like with me, I'm creating a song, I'm writing a song, like I'm probably in the kitchen performing it, like while my wife's upstairs, like I'm performing it like I'm on stage and stuff like that. But it isn't
Hmm.
until you you put it out there and you get the feedback. Like there's been times where I put out albums and people have told me like the songs that I didn't think was gonna be the one that caught people's attention was the one that like real people really fell in love with, and like and then the people tell me because I'll do songs about like you said like times, I'd be going the stuff that I'm going through in life at the time,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you be creating that stuff by yourself. You're thinking you're alone, and then somebody's like, "Yo, like I made this album after I lost my brother." And then like people like my boy Camus was telling me like I really spoke it really spoke to me because he had just lost somebody really close to him,
Mm,
and it was like and he was trying to figure out how to move forward after that, and like the
yeah.
album really like touched him in a way that it was like, oh, I can I see Vinny doing it, so I can do it. I can pick myself
That's
back up and keep
real.
living. And like so those are the moments I really like live for. So even if like nobody else pays attention to it, when I get feedback like that, that's like
Right.
that's what it's really for. Like I at this point, I'm not even really doing it for the money, like because it feels more about like being satisfied in what I created, like regardless of
A
what
hundred,
the
yeah, I
trends
feel
are
that.
and what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, yeah. Like for, I mean, to that point, I think to myself like I made a couple $100 doing this. I
Yeah,
spent so much more on it. I spent so much more time,
yeah,
and it's just something I just will always be doing,
yeah.
no matter what. No matter. I mean, we were the kids that when the fire drill was coming up, the fire drill was happening in school. We're making a song to the
To
fire
the fire
alarm.
drill alarm. Yeah, I did that shit.
You know what I mean? Like it's a tick. It's always going, and it doesn't
Hmm.
stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, man. Like it really got to be in you. It got to be in you. So like, so I guess we can wrap up. But it was great talking to you, man. Like we definitely gotta even off camera, like we gotta talk more because this was a great convo. Like any last words you want to
Yeah.
like give to people before we wrap up?
Well, I was gonna ask you, what's are you listening to anything interesting, anything new? Because I've been consumed with the new Yay album, a few songs off Yay. I was trying to
Okay.
listen to the new Yeet, the new Yeet album. I know Eddie just released a song. Um, I've heard it a few times live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of music just out right now. Has
Mm-hmm.
anything kind of captured you in the last few weeks?
So Schoolboy Q put out a couple new singles. He got one on
Okay, that's the
streaming
Blue
now.
Lips thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
this new
yeah, I
one
need
is
to go
called
listen to that.
Yearn 101. Like that one
Okay,
is crazy. Don Toliver got a song called Bandit that I've been
Bandit's
rocking with.
crazy.
Yeah,
Bandit is great. I'm a big Tame Impala fan.
yeah. So when I heard that sample, I was already like, oh, okay. And then the way he flipped
Crazy,
it
crushed
was
it.
crazy.
Oh my god, it's so good. See
And
that? Like I heard that dude, and that legitimate it kind of pissed me off
what him
because I
sampling
thought
it?
no, just how good it was.
Oh, yeah. And that's
It
like
was
I can't remember what song that is, but I remember that was one of my favorite songs from that album. And I
um
was like, damn, I wish I would have did that first.
I did it, yeah, I did it for love. Um something to um
I did
something
it
to forget about or something like that. I think it is.
tame
I'll go back. I'll
impala.
text you. It'll
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it'll hit me.
yeah, I
But
might have to go back and listen to it 'cause I can't
one
remember.
of the here's something that happens to me. Tell me if this happens to you.
What?
But I'll hear something like Bandit
Mm-hmm.
or I'll hear something like F something on Vultures.
Mm-hmm.
And my first couple thoughts is like, damn, I wish I did that.
Yeah. Or
Damn.
that's happened to me a lot. Matter of
Like,
fact, have you ever
fuck.
been in a situation where you felt like you had an idea for something, but you didn't do it, and then
Hmm.
you hear someone else do it after a while. Like I always tell people, I had, and this is I'm in high school. Okay, like so this
Okay.
is I mean not high school, middle school at this point, right? So 808s and Heartbreaks come out.
Okay.
I promise you, the year before, I was gonna do something similar because I was a big like T Pain fan, and I
Uh-huh.
really like loved Auto Tune, and I got my hands on a copy of Auto Tune, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then I just had people in my ear telling me, oh, it's gonna be whack. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
That's
dude.
that's corny, man. Why would you do that? And then later, like maybe later that year or the next year, 808s and Heartbreaks come out, and I'm just so pissed. And there's the same people telling me that was gonna be whack or telling me how great 808s and Heartbreaks is.
Yeah.
So that's like, you just gotta listen to your gut, cause
Always listen
that.
to your gut. Always listen to your gut. I've had things like that happen where I'm thinking of doing something, or I've even gone as far as maybe done a little demo of something, and something similar has come out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I always just say to myself, like, that's on you, brother.
Yeah.
Once it's released into the ether, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't take it, someone else gets to take it because
Yeah.
I am sure that some of the ideas that I've come up with, it didn't feel like I did anything. It just flowed through, and someone else must have really sat down and thought of that for a while, and it's just kind of out there.
Hmm.
And I got tapped in. But it's funny you bring up 808s because that's a point of contention in one of my friend groups, 808s and heartbreaks, because one of my good friends, um, we were all in high school together. He was a bit older than us, and I would like to, I can fairly say at the time he was a bit more open minded when it
Hmm.
came to rap,
Yeah.
right? Like in terms of where the genre could go. Because
Hmm.
similar to you, I grown up on New York hip hop,
Yeah.
like Tribe, De La Soul, Biggie. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's really where it was.
The
I
same.
lived in North Carolina, and it was tough for me to even get into Southern rap at first because I was so snobbish as a
Yeah.
kid about New York rap.
Yeah.
So the Midwest, kind of surge was a great bridge between New York and
Mm.
the South
Yeah.
in my mind, and that's what made it really easy for me to like Kanye. Um, and so then when he went 808s, I remember thinking, man, what is
You were like,
what is
whack.
happening? I really thought it was whack, except for Paranoid,
Yeah.
because I was playing guitar, I was singing in a choir, I was singing in a chorus, I was doing a lot, and Paranoid is one of those songs where it's like, well, if you're listening to rock and R&B and everything else, that's just a good song,
Yeah.
right? So that one like broke through the mold for me, but the rest of it I was like, eh. And my friend was like, dude, you're gonna look back at this and you're
Yeah.
gonna realize how much you love this. And to this day, he's still telling us about how he was the only one who saw the future. And I'm like, bro, you're totally right.
Yeah.
But you heard 808s and you got it
Yeah.
immediately. It kind of sounds like,
Yeah, and there was a lot of people like you said, because I was a big, I'm like snobbish hip hop fan, wasn't really listening to anything like something like that. So it was jarring at first, but I also, like I like artists like T Pain, so I thought, oh, look,
yeah,
Kanye's getting his T Pain on, and it was an idea I wanted to do, but at the time,
mhm,
the people around me, like you said, like hip hop heads, is just like, nah, man, that's gonna be whack. Don't do that. That'll tank your career.
yeah,
And so I was into it. I was literally the only person, because I got four brothers and two sisters. I was literally the only person that was
really,
listening to it at the house. Like none of my brothers, none of my sisters, any of them wanted nothing to do with 808s and Heartbreaks. The only one they liked was Heartless. I remember
Heartless is a
Heartless because they
cold
loved the music
song.
video for Heartless.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
before that, it was like, nah, I don't. They were not rocking with it, and I'm playing it every day after it dropped.
Well, I know you gotta go, but can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, 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 sure.
So just to understand you a little bit more, um, it's two questions. I'll ask the first one. So it could be 808s and Heartbreaks, but is there an album that you remember as you came up in music that just kind of opened your eyes, so to speak, or really like changed the way that you perceived music and how you wanted to make music and what you wanted to do with music? If so, what is that album?
Um, so I actually have a few,
Okay, word.
because it's like different. I guess I call it like different stages where I was one way, then I heard. Actually, it wasn't 808s and Heartbreaks. It was actually My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That was the
Okay.
one that really like set, like I feel like started me on a certain path. Um, then after that, it was To Pimp a Butterfly by
I
Kendrick.
love To Pimp a Butterfly.
And that's
I
again, that
love.
was another one where people were hating on that album so hard because he went the jazzy element, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
this is fucking genius. I don't understand why you guys can't see that. Just like the idea of like doing a concept album. Like I'm an
Hmm.
album artist, like through and through. Like I like singles. It's hard for me to craft, and I'm just an album guy. I love crafting albums, like a full like experience, listening experience for people.
Yeah.
For so, and I like Kendrick's approach to making these like concept albums where everything is connected and things like that. Like before that, I really didn't have that that inspired me. So that was to Pimp a Butterfly, and then recently, because I was going when you asked me about album suggestions, I was gonna name this one that came out last year. It's called Sanfa's Lahai, and
Mm.
it was, and I think it's partly because I'm a dad now, and then partly because I think just the world in general has been so dark. To listen to
Yeah.
something kind of like wholesome, and listen to something like a guy talking about life in like such a positive way and how it's affected
Okay.
him in a good way, and it's but making it sound so dope and it doesn't sound corny or anything like that. And
Yeah.
like I kind of want to, because my music can get a little dark. Like a lot of people, like I remember I did a video that we did. I premiered it at the well, not premiered it, but I showed it at the Chapel Hill Black Film Festival last year.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, man, and I was excited because we the way we filmed it, it was kind of like a mini movie type of music video.
Hmm.
And but I remember this lady coming up to me and was like it was so dark. Like the song and the message was so dark that she wanted to cry a little bit, but it was good. Like it affected her, in a good way.
Wow.
But when people tell me that, sometimes I wonder like, yeah, because sometimes you write a song, or you're in a zone, right? And
Yeah,
you
you don't
feel a
know
certain
what the
way,
result might be. Yeah.
but no, it's like you're in a certain headspace,
Yeah.
and then now that it's out, you kind of got all that out of you, or you're like, are you in a better place now? But now
Right.
that album is what you're promoting, and like it's just like, oh shit, I'm not that dark person I was when I wrote this. So it
Right.
feels
No,
kind of
that's so
awkward.
real.
It feels awkward. So when she said that, I'm like, I'm in a real happy place. And she's kind of looking at me like, are you okay that you created this?
Yeah. No, that's real, man.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the because I was inspired by Me Against the World, Tupac's album, and
Hmm.
then that was kind of my trajectory until My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy to Ben for Butterfly and Lahai just kind of reshaped how I wanted to approach music and how I saw music.
That's real. That's real, man. I think
Yeah, I was gonna ask you
when
the
I
same.
think yeah, when I go back, I I feel like there are a lot of little moments that kind of, that nudge you in a way. Um if I had to distill it down into a few, I feel like I kind of learned that rap was it how can I say this? When I heard College Dropout the
Mm-hmm.
first time, it did something to my brain. I mean, I actually remember the first time I heard Through the Wire. It was before I was going
Yeah.
to a rec league basketball practice in Wendell, North Carolina in like
Oh, okay.
2003, right?
Yeah.
And I remember asking my dad, "Is this Mace?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know who this is." And I'm like, "Let's sit in the car and wait for this song to finish."
Mm.
And it just it did something to my brain. And I worked to go get the album. I got the album, and my mom read all the lyrics in it in the booklet first. And thank God for Jesus Walks, because I don't think I would have got the album without that song in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hearing that, it it was simple enough for a fourth grader, albeit I had high reading comprehension and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
but it was simple enough for me to understand, but it was also profound enough for me to be questioning things.
Mm-hmm.
And the musicality behind it was also really creative.
Yeah.
And it just did a lot of things, and it had so many references to music, into culture, into philosophy. It
Mm-hmm.
just it did something to me. And then I think from there, it was it was like that, and then being able to hear something like Dedication 2 by Lil Wayne, that whole
Yeah.
mixtape, right? And seeing like, oh, this is how you can really rap,
Hmm.
right? So you've got like the creativity, the ability to hook people in and get them to think about something completely different, which is what Kanye's really good at. And
Yeah.
then hearing the different styles that I feel like Lil Wayne took from so many great rap acts.
Hmm.
And then so I went from there to that, and then it was Lil B.
Oh wow.
When Lil B hit the scene after the pack in like '08, '09,
Yeah.
that opened up rap. I felt like I could start rapping because all of rap prior to Lil B was, it was not really abstract. It was very like literal. It was
Hmm.
very, you had to have done what you were saying in your raps.
Yeah.
I brought this up to someone else. Like think about the Beatles,
Yeah.
where in the beginning they're kind of like, I want to hold your hand. I saw this girl, she's pretty, and blah 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 blah. And that's really what a lot of music was back then, like in
Yeah.
the '50s, right, and beyond, like very real world.
Hmm.
And then they go do acid, and then their songs are like, I'm in a yellow submarine, I'm a
Hmm.
walrus, uh, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Like, what are these people talking about? And I feel like Lil B was that for rap, where all of a sudden
Yeah, I can
rap
see
could
that.
become surreal. And so I'm like, oh, okay, okay, okay. I can put like all these things together.
Hmm.
And I think just like in this the my world of music at the time, I'm like playing instruments, I'm doing all these things, and those three moments are like, okay, this is the new way to distill information.
Hmm.
And then sonically, I'm hearing My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy or Watch the Throne,
Hmm.
or the early Tame Impala from 2013. You know what I'm saying? I start listening to, experimental music and house, and it just all just kind of like melted my brain together, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and I just, there's never really a time I get to talk about anything like this. But
Yo,
yeah,
these are the
that's
kind
what
of
happened.
conversations I be bugging people about, and I don't really get to go into, into depth, in depth. That's what I'm trying to say, in depth with like that.
Yeah.
So yo, that's dope actually, because these are the kind of questions I be wanting to have conversations about, and I don't really get a chance to like that. So that's dope.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%, dude. So, man, it's just music is it's just so good, dude.
Yeah,
And you really can't miss. Like if you're being selfish, you really can't miss because it's about you anyways.
yeah,
And what you said earlier about like if one or five people actually get it
hmm,
and dig it the way that you did, then you won.
yeah,
You lost if you're not even caring about you and you're doing it so a bunch of people like it, and then you're
hmm,
like at the mercy of all these other people anyways.
exactly.
So I appreciate you saying that. I'll always need that to be reinforced.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, because it's like, and I like the way you put it. Like you got to be selfish in the beginning, because it's like at the end of the day, even if I put this out and nobody likes it, I created this and I put this together because I liked it. I love it,
Because I
and I
like it.
want to, I want to make. This is what I wanted to make, and this is where I'm at right now.
Yep.
So, I like I said, I'll take anybody that experiments, and it falls completely flat with me. Like I'm not with it, but they did it for themselves, and there's a direction they wanted to take. Versus somebody that is just, oh well, this is hot right now, let me do that, or oh, this is what the kids are into right now, so let me gear my sound towards this when it's not really them. I'd rather take
Right.
that. I'd rather take somebody experimenting and going, just out here with it than somebody that's just following the trends and just doing, anything but do what's true to them.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say, I don't. Um, because I'm around a lot of kids,
Hmm.
and one thing that will always run opposite of is what people did to us, right? So,
Yeah.
808s comes out and they're like, ugh. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna listen to anything. I'm gonna listen
Yeah.
to it. And if I find one thing that I like, I'm gonna steal it. But if I don't, but if there's nothing else in there, I gave it an honest listen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an honest listen.
I was one of those people
Always,
that like, I was like, I heard such and such. Like, nah, I'm never gonna listen to them. Even artists that routinely I'm not really a big fan of, I'll still give whatever new they drop a chance. Like, I was never really the biggest Lil Yachty fan, but he put out that album last year,
brother,
that
brother,
psychedelic rock album, and I'm like, I would have missed out
brother.
on this project if I was just like, oh no, I'm not listening to
Drive Me
Lil Yachty.
Crazy. Drive Me Crazy is one of the best songs. It's what, yo, I saw him at the Ritz.
oh, he
Um,
performed this. He performed this album.
brother, he did that album, and then he did all of his other chart topping hits,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a force to be reckoned with. Stage design,
Oh,
audio design, and then those songs are just they are crazy. So you like Tane?
yeah.
His psychedelic album in person was like in that realm. The
Uh,
band was spectacular. His
I
vocals were
believe it.
spectacular. But Drive Me Crazy off that album, my girlfriend and I, that's one of
Mm.
our favorite songs.
Yeah, you about to make me
It's
put that
just,
in because I
yeah,
was like I'm trying to remember that song, but I remember that being
I
one of
want
the
to be
one.
where you are.
Ah,
I just
okay.
can't get over. Yeah, bro.
As soon as you
Woo.
sang, I was like, okay, that's the one. That was one of the ones. That
Yeah,
one in Black Seminole was like
yeah.
another
Black
one that.
Sabbath's crazy. But here's the thing. This is what I like about Yachty.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do that, and then I'll have a song like Give Me the Light" or "Poland," or
Yeah,
he'll go on his kind of cipher mode with Concrete. He's gonna do what he likes to do, and
yeah,
I appreciate a person, even if I don't like it. Man, hey,
yeah. I can respect that. I can
you
respect that.
know,
Even if I and that's like going back to what you're saying. Like I don't diss what like the kid like younger kids are listening to anymore. Like I used to be one of those guys, in college when I was really big hip hop head and stuff. But like now I'm like, I'm not gonna disrespect it if it's not for me, because it's for somebody else.
yeah,
It's just when I really only diss the artists that I like that make terrible music. Like if I went into it with a certain like it's only because it's like, oh, I know you could do better than this.
you
Like
have
I've
an
heard you do this.
expectation.
Yeah, it's a certain expectation. I'm like, and it's one thing, like you're saying, if you try something and I'm not a fan of it, that's one thing. But then you could just tell like when they're not trying or they're not putting
Yeah,
their all in. It's like,
or they
I
just
like.
chase the trend.
Yeah, or not even like Nas, right? I'm a big, he's one of my favorite MCs of all time,
Okay,
and he put out the Lost Tapes 2 like a few years ago, and it's the worst Nas project I've ever heard. Like, and I remember listening to it, and then it later came out that he only did that album to fulfill his Def Jam obligations for his
to
contract or
get
something
out
like that.
and then start doing
So
King's Disease.
yeah. So then I was like, okay. But before I heard that, I was just so disappointed. And
That's
I talked
real.
so much shit about that album because I'm like, bro, this is Nas. This is the guy that made Illmatic. I know
Yeah.
he got something better than this in the tank, and if he don't, he just need to hang it up. But then he showed us, but then he showed us, what he could do with Hit Boy and the King's Disease series. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Crazy.
nah, he still got it.
Crazy work, man. Crazy work. But you never know. You never know. I'm glad that information came out.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, that made a lot of sense because it sounded like this is just like let's just put this out there, fulfill the contract obligation, so I can get out my contract and do my own thing. I'm like, all right, I okay, so you got me. I'll never listen to that again because I hated it.
Yeah, there's
But
nothing salvageable on there. That's funny.
yeah,
That's
it
funny,
it
man. That's
sounded
funny.
like I'm just here for the check, and it's just
Yeah.
But all right, man. Yo, appreciate you again, brother.
I
This
appreciate
was a
you,
great
Vinny.
conversation. Yo, make sure if you have not gotten your tickets for the February 29th show at the
Yup.
Poorhouse, flyer
At the
right here on the
poorhouse.
screen. If you haven't gotten your tickets, make sure you get those ASAP or get them at the door. But you're gonna be mad because you paid an extra $3 because you didn't buy them right now.
30% uptick is crazy. Just get them early. Get them early.
But yo, man, it's been your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, the homie Malibu P. Until next time, much love.
Peace.